Hi, everybody, we're live. Welcome to the Fempreneur Raw Talk. I have the amazing Tricia Nelson here. Tricia has lost 50 pounds by identifying and healing the underlying causes of her emotional eating. She's an emotional eating expert and a TEDx speaker whose talk has garnered over 2 million views. That's amazing. She's the author of the #1 best-selling book, Heal Your Hunger: 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now, and so many other. You've been featured on NBC, CBS, Fox, all kinds of things. So welcome, Tricia. So happy to have you
Thank
here.
you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Ah, so tell us a little bit more about your journey and how all of this happened for you over time.
Yeah, so I'm somebody who definitely struggled with food and weight from a very young age. I think food was always a big highlight for me. I like to eat, I like to cook, I like to, you know, go out to dinner. It was just a big highlight, and that would have been fine. I would have been labeled a foodie, except that I was also a binge eater, and I would closet eat and go overboard and feel really bad. And I gained weight. And by age 21, I was 50 pounds overweight. So that was super painful for me. And I tried many different diets, many exercise programs. That's what you turn to first: diet and exercise, pills, potions, lotions. Nothing I tried worked for any length of time. And I felt very despairing. I mean, I felt like, wow, I'm putting my all into this thing, and I end up at the same place every single time, or worse, gaining more weight than I lost on the last diet. So it was frustrating. I felt hopeless, and I was very blessed to meet somebody, a mentor who had been morbidly obese, and showed me how to heal from within, like really face the underlying causes of my eating issues, which really isn't focused on too much, in our culture. It's all about the quick fix, get the weight off. But I needed a better solution. So I found that I was shown. And then I worked with my mentor to help others for close to 30 years before I founded Heal Your Hunger. And Heal Your Hunger is really the outgrowth of that work that we did with others. It was all addicts before, but I focus on people with food and weight struggles because I find that to be the hardest to overcome, like the hardest of all the addictive habits. So I'm blessed to be in a thin body for decades now, to have peace around food, no food noise, and I've laid out how I healed in a very clear cut, step by step process for others that I walk through, and hold their hand through in group programs so people can have that same amount of peace.
I'm so happy you found the path to help you heal, right? And you can
You
actually like do this for others. I feel like as someone who struggled with this my whole life as well, it's almost hard to believe that you can actually heal this, that you can quiet the noise. What would you say to somebody who feels like, is this even possible for me? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I know that hopeless place. It was hard, really hard. And I think what's needed is a new approach, one that doesn't include focus on the weight, the symptom of food and weight. It's not about the diet. Is it keto? Is it paleo? Is it vegan? What is it? It's not any of those things. I mean, if you whittle all the diets down, I mean, they vary slightly, but it's like eat good, solid, good, healthy protein and fats, slow metabolizing carbs, and lots of vegetables. I mean, let's be clear. It's pretty much like if you eat good protein, healthy fats, and vegetables, you're going to be fine. But the problem is not what to eat, it's how to stay on that plan, and too many people just veer way off the plan because they have an emotional connection to food. And to me, that's the rub. That's what's not getting addressed, is our emotional connection to food, where we feel like it's our comforter, it's our protector, it's our entertainment, it's our lover. It's what we go to. So, and it doesn't talk back to us, and it doesn't give us a hard time, and it's always there for us. That emotional connection with food is where we need to go if we want lasting peace.
Yeah. God, I couldn't agree more, right? It's like people use it for nurturing versus nourishment a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting for me in my, like, evolution with all of this too, because I have a son who has insatiable hunger with his syndrome, and so I
Yes,
have to sit there and be like, "No, you can't have that," and I feel like a food police officer, and I feel like I had to do that with myself, it's just this crazy cycle of like, am I giving my kid an eating disorder, but he needs one because he can't eat what he wants to eat, and so it's just this constant mind mess, about all of it.
totally.
But,
What an ironic position to be in.
right. I mean, do you feel like women have more of this issue than men, or are you seeing kind of it happen to everyone?
I think men are I mean, I'm just gonna overgeneralize. I think they're pretty out of touch with their feelings, typically speaking in our culture, and they have no idea like what emotional eating is or that they do it.
Yeah,
Women are emotional beings, we're also intellectual beings and mental as well, but we are more in touch with our emotions. We have more access to our emotions, and we like to eat, and food is comforting. So I typically hear, I'd say 95% of the time, the people who contact me are women.
yeah. Makes sense. I mean, I just feel like we're fed all of these images our whole lives about what the perfect body is, right?
Yeah,
Like
then
we're
there's that. For
right.
sure.
And then, we're taught a lot of times that our emotions are too much to handle. So of course, what's natural to do is like stuff all those things away. I remember I was
It's
doing the master cleanse.
complicated.
Yeah, I did the master cleanse one time, and that's when, you're not eating, you're on a cleanse, right? You're doing like the lemonade, the nasty cayenne pepper. And it was fascinating to me because that was the first time I had really said, okay, I'm not going to eat food. And it was, a few days. And it was every time I was uncomfortable with some sort of feeling, my automatic response was to go to the fridge and open it. And then I'm like, wait, I'm not supposed to be eating. And it was like, whoa, this is how much I'm checking out with food. And I had no idea until I was on a no food thing. And it was mind blowing. And I was like, okay, I need
Totally.
to like have another outlet for all of this because I'm just going right to the fridge. And I didn't even know
Yes.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
very unconscious. And when we've been doing it for so long, it is such an ingrained habit, and we have neural pathways, geared towards, feel uncomfortable, look for food, feel upset, look for food, feel happy, look for food.
Yeah. Right? We use it to celebrate, we use it for everything.
Everything.
When I tell people my son has insatiable hunger, people can't even fathom it because we use food for everything, right?
Yeah.
Birthdays, I mean, Costco samples, it's everywhere. So
Yeah.
it's
Hunger. Like,
fascinating.
where does hunger come into the conversation?
Right.
I like the food. I like the food. That's all that needs to be said.
So I know you've helped so many women. Can you tell us a little bit more about that process, what that looks like, how we can work with you?
Yeah, so as I said, I really take people on a journey to heal the underlying causes. And it's not that we don't talk about food, but very little. It is more about the emotional hunger and helping people start to tune into that. And so I wrote a book several years ago called Heal Your Hunger: 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. As you know, I have a podcast, The Heal Your Hunger Show. I have my TEDx talk, which is called Emotional Eating: What If Weight Loss Isn't About the Food? So everything I do is about how to get in touch with that deeper conversation. And so, I mean, where does food come into that? Well, if we're overeating all the time, we won't know what the deeper conversation is, because food is effective. I mean, my experience is we use food for emotional reasons. And if we don't stop eating, we won't know what those reasons are. So it's a trick. It's sort of like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you stop overeating and then you can dig into what's going on? Or do you dig into what's going on and it'll curb your eating? And it's kind of both. It's a simultaneous road. But the only real food advice I give people is to keep their meals to 3 a day with no snacking. And I do that so that they can start to listen to themselves without feeling stuffed all the time or numbed out all the time. So it's not a diet at all. It's really like, let's put some space in between meals. Let's get you acquainted with hunger, like what actual hunger feels like, and help you acclimate to it without freaking out. And people who have been overeating forever, they're freaked out by hunger. Like that feels like danger to them. And I know this, it's like a very deep psychic experience where, and you have to consider so many people who do overeat, binge eat, or even restrict eat. Like it doesn't have to be all out eating. If we're restricting something, if we're trying to control something, it means it's out of control. So somebody who's like super rigid in the way they eat, or they nibble on a Larabar, for hours throughout the day, they're super tight and restricted around food. They're trying to control something that feels out of control to them. So to me, it's all kind of within the same, under the same umbrella. And I like the term emotional eating because it's emotionally driven, whether we're overeating or undereating. But anyway, I think that we really are driven by three primary emotions. And we typically know what unhealthy food choices do to us, but I like to say, let's take a look at what it's doing for us, and so I call this the PEP test. PEP is an acronym. The first P stands for punishment. I'm sorry, I gave you the punchline. The first P stands for painkiller. Okay, the last P is for punishment, but I'll walk you through them. Painkiller means when we're uncomfortable, when we feel feelings that feel scary. And we did do this as kids. As kids, food really saved our lives. Okay, like most people did start overeating. Some people go through perimenopause, menopause, and then they start overeating. Or maybe that's just when they start noticing that their overeating is at a problem with them because their metabolism slowing down. But the point is, I was overeating from the get-go, and I did have trauma as a kid, and I had very few tools, and food's right there. Right. So in a sense, it did save my life. It kept me off the bridge. Like I would have been in excruciating pain had I not been eating popcorn and brownies late at night in front of the television. And so it helped me at the time to kill my pain. All right. And so that's why to feel hungry is scary, because it did save my life. Like when you're a kid and you have very few tools available to you, food is there for you, and thank God, and so it saved my life. And so there's a little mechanism inside of me that when I feel hungry, I feel like I'm gonna die. Like there's a little voice inside the emotional eater that feels panic, like danger, 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 danger. I don't know if I can handle this, because it did save our lives. We're adults now. It's not saving our lives anymore. We don't need it. We can develop a wider range of tools. But I feel like there is, and this is why intermittent fasting can be tricky for people with food issues, because you go too long without eating, you set off that danger, danger, alarm. Okay. And then you open up your food window and it's like Katie, bar the door. So painkiller is the first P in PEP. Escape is the E in PEP. Escape from what? Well, as overeaters, we tend to be overthinkers, and we overthink everything. Like we wear ourselves out overthinking. What did she mean by that? Why didn't I get an invitation? I'm going to fail. I think I'm going to be homeless next year. It's like our brains just go on overdrive, especially as entrepreneurs, because we tend towards overthinking anyway, right? And so the overthinking is exhausting. And oftentimes, and we're not overthinking about all the wonderful possibilities in our life. Let's be clear. Like we're not thinking, oh, I could win the lottery, or, oh, I could make $1 million in my business. We're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be homeless, And so we want to get out of our minds, out of that fearful awfulizing. And my experience is food does a great job. Carbs and sugar will shut down that brain. The food noise, as we're hearing about it being called now, that's why we're drawn to heavy, sedating foods like carbs and, heavy processed carbs and sugar, because they do shut us off. They do turn that noise down very quickly. We're not binging on salad. Let's just be clear. So, so it is an escape. Like food is a great escape for us. Of course, our problems come back. But in the moment, it's like, ah, like I have a moment of peace, right? And the last P, as I said, is punishment, which is a little counterintuitive because we think of food as a reward. Like, oh, I'm going to get through this project and I'm going to go have my favorite meal or my favorite Belgian chocolate at that special store, so it's a reward. But for those of us who go overboard and like way overshoot the mark of like a treat and it becomes like a massacre, if food binging, that is not a treat. Like that is painful. It's painful. We feel like crap. The next day we cancel brunch with our girlfriends because we feel like our face is too bloated to be seen in public. That's a terrible punishment that we inflict on ourselves. And it's like, why would we do something like that? And my experience is we carry a lot of guilt. We not only overthink, but we overfeel. And we feel guilty about everything. Like we are so relentlessly hard on ourselves. And I know this doesn't apply to you, Aisha. I just know it. So we're just so
Yeah, not
hard.
at all.
We're so hard on ourselves. I've seen you do it. But we're so hard on ourselves, beating the crap out of ourselves. Why did I say that? I should have done it better. I suck. And oh my God. And it's like and food is like the final blow, just beat yourself up with a terrible binge that makes you feel like crap. And there you go. You've met your own punishment. And so it's really important to realize that the PEP, painkiller, escape, and punishment is I simplify the emotions into pain, fear, and guilt because I feel like those are the drivers, like the big drivers. There's many, tributary, emotions off of that, but those are the biggies. And they if we don't get a handle on that, if we don't address those things and those relentless thoughts, we are automatically going to the refrigerator. We've got the food noise. We are really, really driven to eat. And that's obviously, it doesn't matter what diet you choose. If that stuff isn't addressed, you're in front of the refrigerator and you're like, how did I get here?
Woo, gosh, I feel so seen and simultaneously attacked in a loving, beautiful way. Right? Oh my gosh. And I have ADHD too, so I'm so curious how much that also pushes this whole situation. I feel like even if it's not binge eating, it's like one of the things, right? Like when I became a holistic health practitioner and learned all about nutrition, all of a sudden I became obsessed with ingredients and reading I mean, of course you want to read labels, but to the point where I was like, well, I can't even eat that. That has this one thing in it. And I would just
Yeah.
be like another, I think it's called like orthorexia or something.
Orthorexia.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so I was like,
Total
"Oh,
food
here's another
obsession.
thing." Right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
Yep.
it just keeps cycling. I feel like for me in the journey, it started with, like, just total anorexia in high school. 'Cause some boy was like, "She's fat," and then I just
Mm.
starved myself for, like, 2 years basically,
Yeah.
and did, like, 500 crunches in my bedroom at night, trying to prove to some idiot boy that I would never even talk to now,
Exactly.
right? Like, it starts so early, you don't really know what's going on, and then later it moved to, like, overeating, then it moved to this, like, I'm gonna be psycho about the label and this, and
Yep.
yeah, and who knows even what's happening now, it's probably just a lot of unconscious like, with my son, I can't really eat in front of him, so I eat late at night, right? And then I punish myself with the guilt, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah,
Yes.
all in the cycles.
Yep. And it's true. It does morph into different versions. And that's why I like the term emotional eating, is because whatever version you're in, it's emotional. Like it's primarily emotional. Now, I know sugar is highly physically addictive. I am a sugar addict. Processed carbs, addictive because they metabolize as sugar in your body. So there's a physical aspect to it. But,
Right.
if that's all there were to it, it's like, oh, just stay away from that. Read the labels, just be clear. And I teach people to do that. I have something called the Quit Sugar Challenge. But still, that doesn't explain everything. If you've been off of sugar for a while and you have a super clean diet, why do you go back to it? Like, why, when it's so detrimental to your health, why do you tempt yourself and why do you ultimately cave? And to me, that's the unaddressed emotions.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, I just appreciate the amazing work you're doing in the world for people because we really obviously need this.
Yes.
And, to be able to have balance around food because it's such an enjoyable thing to experience, right? It's such a gift for those that have a hard time. So it's really beautiful what you're doing. So thank you for that. We
Ah,
got
thank
some
you.
events coming up that you're doing that people can tune into. So I'll drop those links for anyone listening, and we'll send emails out as well. But we have master classes coming up, right? And another thing, do you want to share about that?
Yeah, so my event is in about 11 days and it's called Make Peace with Food, Love Your Body, Love Your Food, Love Your Life. So that's a thing that I just, bar none, buy a ticket to that. It's a super crazy low ticket, right? The early bird price is $27. So, I mean, that's crazy. It's a 3-day event where we have a cooking class, we have movement sessions, breath work. Ashana and Dana are doing breath work. We have a dance session, like movement dance, like really healthy self-caring movement dance. So we have a lot of cool things. Plus, I am doing a deep dive on emotional eating, what drives us to eat time and time again, what those emotions are, some of the habits in our life, like there in my book, I talk about the anatomy of the emotional eater, which is 24 personality traits that drive emotional eating that have nothing to do with food. Things like people pleasing, overthinking, like I said, controlling and managing others. I know nobody present does that, but some people
Totally.
do. so there's a whole personality profile of the emotional eater. Like it's not the eating that's the problem, it's the living and how we respond to stress and life. That's the stuff I'm going deep dive on, and it is going to be an incredible event. We're also going to do some healing work around diet dogma. Like we've been beat up so bad by diet dogma, and is this good? Is this bad? Can I have this? The whole thing. Like you said, the food police. And so we need to heal that because we have scar tissue around that. We have like, oh my God, like I'm bad no matter what I eat. Like the only allowed food is ice. It's like we have to get to where we can expand our palate. We can enjoy food, enjoy eating. That's why I have my favorite chef coming in, holistic chef coming in to cook, and I give you recipes in the workbook and that kind of thing. It's really fun. So that's the Make Peace with Food event happening October 18th to 20th. And also we are doing a like a Q&A call this weekend for people who want to learn about that. But it's an investment of time to be on a on a Zoom event. We call it a retreat. We have breakouts. I mean, you're going to do a lot of connecting. Connection and community is vital if we're going to heal. Like we're not going to do this in a silo. We're going to help each other, support each other, just find the support of our sisters in order to heal, because that's really the nourishment we're seeking. Like it's not food we're hungry for. We're truly hungry for connection, to be seen, and just to feel like we're not alone in this. And so that's all part of what's going to happen at the Make Peace with Food event. I hope people do join us.
That's going to be so beautiful. I mean, honestly, like 3 days of getting to talk about something like this in a shame-free environment, like what a gift. And I can't believe it's only $27. So
I know it.
yeah, I'll be supporting Trisha with this event. I'm so excited to help her and support all these beautiful people that are going to be there. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot about myself and my past and all the things. So yeah, I can't wait. And
Yeah, and I do want to
Dr.
mention, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. I want to mention that there's a VIP option. So if you buy your $27 ticket, there's a page it'll take you to that'll give you a one-time chance to buy a ticket for VIP, which includes a whole slew of other things, including recordings of the whole event. And so, and special like meetings with me during the event. We have some special gatherings just for VIPs. It's a $97 ticket typically, but you'll have, as soon as you check out, you'll have an option to buy it for $47. So I just say grab it at $47 because the price will be $50 more if you get off that page. I just want to say that so people don't be like, oh, whatever, and realize later, oh, I should have clicked on that. It's totally worth it. So many goodies that come with the VIP option.
Your generous heart is so amazing. Yeah, ladies, like if you struggle with this, we all do to a point. I don't know any woman that doesn't have a
Yeah,
slight struggle around how they look, around eating, around self-esteem. I mean, let's
so
be
true.
honest. So, what better way than to get supported in a really safe container with this beautiful goddess who I have the amazing pleasure to call a friend. So, thanks for
Uh,
being here, Trisha. I
Thank
so
you for
appreciate
having
everything.
me.
Yes, and I'll make sure to drop all the links and we'll get this out to everybody, but I can't wait to,
Well, thank you for your support
um,
with the event. I'm really excited to have you there.
all right, ladies, have a great week. It's Monday. We'll see you all soon. Thanks, Trisha.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming